In this video, I'm going to explain what thermal plasterboard is, also known as insulated plasterboard. So, it's very different to standardised plasterboard, which is 12.5mm thick. You can get plasterboard in only three sizes. You can get it in 9.5mm thick, 12.5mm thick, and 15mm thick. We discount 15mm thick plasterboard because it's just too heavy and I don't want to be lugging that stuff around. I only use the 9.5mm thick plasterboard when I'm overboarding a ceiling and I don't want to add too much weight to the ceiling. The standard size, which most people use everywhere, is 12.5mm thick, and that's exactly what you'll find used on thermal plasterboard. So here we've got some thermal plasterboard. Now this is a little bit different to some thermal plasterboard you can buy. Some thermal plasterboard has a sheet of expanded insulation on the back. They sometimes call it Kingspan in the UK. It's basically expanded polyurethane foam. This actually has a paper backing, but you can actually get this with a foil backing, which is more resistant to moisture. So you'll see that you actually have here a 12.5mm thick plasterboard, which is the most common plasterboard you'll use. And then you have a 25mm layer of rigid insulation on the back. So all thermal plasterboard is, or all insulated plasterboard is literally a sheet of expanded polyurethane insulation with a piece of standard plasterboard glued to it. So it does have a lot of advantages over regular plasterboard. If you're trying to insulate your room, then obviously you can use thermal plasterboard or insulative plasterboard to give yourself the insulation from the plasterboard itself, backed up with 25mm insulation on the back. Now you can get the insulation on the back in varying thicknesses. You can possibly get 25mm thick, you might have to buy 20mm thick insulation on the back, or up to maybe, you might even be able to get 30mm insulation on the back. You just have to look at your area and see what you can buy. And basically all thermal plasterboard does is increase the thermal efficiency of the room. You normally have two options when it comes to increasing your thermal rating of your wall. You can either use insulated plasterboard, or what you can actually do is create a stud wall, a conventional stud wall. You can fill the in between the studs with your Kingspan sheet or your expanded polyurethane sheet, and then plasterboard the front. So depending on your application, often insulated plasterboard is used where you're dot and dabbing it onto an external wall. So you'd take your external wall, you'd give that a coat of blue grit or SBR to seal it. Then you'd put your plasterboard adhesive or your dry lining adhesive, dab that onto the wall after mixing it up in a tub with some water. So you've got a primer, you've got your drywall adhesive or your plasterboard adhesive, and then you simply push on your thermal plasterboard onto your wall, and then that would adhere to the wall, wait for it to set, and then you could either tape and joint the gap between the two plasterboards where they need to join, or you could coat the whole thing in skim to create one even rigid surface. So if you've learned something from this video and it's given you a little bit of an insight into thermal plasterboard, drop us a like. And if you have some more insights that you think other people can benefit from knowing, let us know in the comments. Subscribe to the channel if you want to be updated with more videos that could help you with your next project. Thanks for watching.